Okay, good evening, folks. Welcome. This is our fourth Norman City Council Candidate Forum. I'm Scott Martin, President and CEO of the Norman Chamber of Commerce. I'm with Emily Bendick. She is the chair of the Government Relations Committee for Norman Next. Once again, Emily and I are thrilled and honored to be able to co-host tonight's event. We have all four candidates for Ward 5 with us this evening. I greatly appreciate this, and not all of them probably know this, but this is particularly curious for me since I'm a Ward 5 resident.
Awesome.
I'm anxious to hear their responses to this question, or to all the questions that we have to present to them tonight. But just to remind everybody who's with us this evening, we have Billy Davidson, Lisa Meyer, Michael Nash, and Rarchar Tortorello.
Got it.
Okay, well, let's jump. We've kind of gone over the guidelines. I think everybody knows that we're going to do the cards once again. When each candidate has 15 seconds left with their response, we'll do the yellow card, and then we'll do the red card when the 2 minutes is up. Like before, this webinar will be recorded. We're going to post it on our Facebook page and also YouTube page, so you can go back and watch it after the fact. And one reminder as we get going, early voting is February the 4th and the 5th from 8 to 6 p.m. There's still time to request an absentee ballot. The deadline for that is February the 2nd by 5 p.m. So lots of great options. We just want to encourage people to get educated and get out and vote. So let's jump right into the questions. And as we talked about before we went live, we're just going to go alphabetical by first name for these. And so, Billy, we're going to start with you for the very first question. If elected, what is your top priority for the city at large and your ward specifically?
I think for the city at large, it would be focusing on, getting businesses back up and running and, getting jobs back up and going. To rebuild and sustain businesses for downtown. And then for the Ward 5 area, I would like to focus on, getting, better police presence, better, faster response times, and, focus on other emergency services as well, like emergency medical services and maybe expand the fire services as well. And of course, all this starts with, proper funding in the budget. And I think that's my priorities anyway.
Very good. Okay, thank you. Lisa, we'll go to you next. Same question.
Norman's so divided at this time that I want to make it a priority to listen to all the voices in Ward 5, where our city can come together to work on the issues we face. Voting in the status quo or a person that will carry a special interest group's agenda is right now the biggest problem Norman faces. Either way, Ward 5 voices would be silenced and their voice put on the back burner once again. The people of this ward need a voice and someone that can work with the city council as a whole. Partisan politics should never be a part of municipal government during these precarious times in Norman's history.
Very good. Okay, thank you. Michael, next to you.
Well, my priority is for Ward 5 and the residents of Ward 5 first and foremost. And there is some overlap between their needs and the needs of the city at large. Police presence, emergency response times, those are the obvious couple of issues that face the ward. But also, there's been a long running history and track record of kind of overlooking the residents of Ward 5 unless something of theirs is needed, almost to the point of exploitation. If somebody needs their water, they go and poke some holes and drill water for the city. If somebody wants to disrupt their land, take their land, development comes in and then further disrupts their serenity. So I think the 2060 strategic water supply plan needs to be followed so that we don't have to have the city at large looking at the residents of Ward 5 and their water as a resource. We need to hold firm on development we don't want to make islands of development in the middle of the ward that's going to disrupt the residents that are already established, already have a foothold in the ward. But then the city as a whole, we need to get back on track to help the businesses recover so that we can start getting sales tax revenue streaming back in, hotel taxes streaming back in. We need to be able to get that back on track so that the entire city can start recovery.
Very good. Rarchar, we will conclude the first question with you.
You know what, for the entire city, I'd like us to have the reputation where people make us the first choice. I want us to be the first choice for that come visit, to live, and to grow, and to bring small businesses here. Make it a regional draw, make Norman the #1 choice in this area. After knocking on hundreds of doors in Ward 5, the 3 biggest things that people are asking about is public safety, safe drinking water, and we don't want our houses flood. And so I've said this before, that I'm going to be the champion for Ward 5. Ward 5, I agree with some folks here that we do and have been taken advantage of, and they only want us when the city wants something from us. And so, when we talk and what we want in Ward 5, we want to be treated fairly. And with that comes positivity on the council. We want to close the divide, bring back stability and a little decorum, to the city politics. It's so rank out there now that we can't have a conversation with our neighbors, and we can't talk about things that affect the ward and Norman as a whole without getting angry at each other and fighting about everything here. That's just counterproductive. And so, as a conservative, I listen to a lot of voices, and I also, want to bring all the voices to the table, regardless of who you are, where you sit, left or right, or in the middle. I want all those voices to have a voice, and that just makes us a better city. And again, that makes the reputation for Norman the first destination when they come down this way here. So that's what I'm working towards for.
Very good. Thank you. Emily?
All right, question number 2, Lisa, we'll start with you, and then we'll go to Michael and Rarchar. Wait, no. Michael, Rarchar, Billy?
Yep, that's right.
All right, just trying to prepare everyone. That was a test.
We hear you. I hear you.
All right, so Lisa, describe your philosophy with regards to economic development, i.e. job retention and expansion.
It's going to be a very short answer for me, because as a council person, we do not per se bring in business. It's our job as a council to make sure developers and businesses are building within our current code, city code, and have what they need to be successful. That's our job as a council.
Michael.
Well, I think economic growth is usually a good thing, as long as it's not outpacing the growth of the residents in the city as a whole. If in our city code ordinances, even development fees, all go into inhibiting developments that it doesn't outpace the growth of our population. If we just say let businesses grow unabated, then we would have tons of square miles of gray space, kind of like at Noble Parkway is turning into now. And so I encourage economic development as long as it's within reason, as long as our population can make use of that economic development. And I think we do need to bring some more higher quality jobs into Norman. And we need to have more businesses that are going to attract people from outside of Norman to bring their business here.
Thank you so much. Rarchar?
I'm bringing my experience working in the military and the government sector. I like to see the council work together. I'm about teamwork. And, in the military, when you're dealing with multiple squadrons of people and resources, and we're getting ready to go on a mission here, there is some competitiveness between the squadrons to see who can get done first. And, I think what that does, if we bring that to our council, so we all work together, it brings leaders up. You know, we want leaders that raise their hands and say, hey, let me be part of the solution. You know, economic development in Norman is very important, and you know, we need to have that environment. Sales tax revenue and use tax is what funds a lot of things that go on in our city here. And in order for that to happen, we need to have people stand up with the ideas, and we need leaders across all the wards, not just in Ward 5. And you know, so we talk about use tax, sales tax revenue, getting the council to work together, and just staying positive. I think that hearing all the voices and working together, we can make this a regional draw. And again, work towards the attitude and reputation that, you know, we are business friendly. We have the infrastructure in place. You know, we have places that you can come and build. We do require, you know, the big box stores, you know, the minimum wage jobs, as well as the professional jobs. Look at down south here by OU, the weather center. Okay, there's so many technology positions and companies that would fairly do well here, and we need to have the good paying jobs to bring the good people here, and you know, for sustainability. That's what I would talk about, and that's what I would like to work with, is to work with all the councils and all the wards. And you know, I believe it is the ward's job to help bring in business. You know, I think it should be who can get out there and bring in the most business, you know, across the board here. So, you know, that's my philosophy. That's what I would do.
Thank you. Billy. Billy, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. As far as economic development, you know, Sam's, Walmart, Lowe's, stores like that are already here. But it's disappointing to hear stories about, you know, Dick's Sporting Goods and Costco that wanted to come to Norman, and you know, that fell through and they ended up in Moore. I think, you know, the mayor and the city council members need to be proactive about recruiting new businesses to Norman. You know, however, just not the big brand name stores, though, you know, they do provide us with large amount of sales tax and hourly jobs that we need. But we need to start attracting, you know, more career oriented employers as well, you know, start becoming, you know, trying to become like the home to corporate offices for national brands. You know, they provide the types of jobs young professionals are looking for, you know, a little higher paying salaries as well. You know, it's in Norman's best interest to be attractive to young professionals. And most importantly, we need to become a business friendly city and foster the growth of small business and, you know, reinvigorate downtown area, you know, regenerate, you know, businesses down there. You know, and I think we need to make it easier to do business in Norman, you know, and, you know, create easier access to those businesses. You know, I don't know what side of town everybody lives on, but if you're out east, like some of us are, trying to get through Norman to get into town and do some shopping, you know, it can be quite cumbersome sometimes. So I don't know, at some point in our history, we must have got a really good deal on traffic lights, because there's no shortage of them in Norman, I'm telling you that. But anyway, that's my philosophy anyway.
Thank you. Scott, I'll hand it to you.
Okay, for the third question, and we're starting with Michael, this will go to you first. Do you believe that Norman is experiencing a long-term problem with sales tax revenue? Yes. How do you propose to fix the problem? If no, why not?
Well, right now, so long term, not really. Now, Oklahoma is one of the, I think it's the only state where cities are entirely dependent on sales tax revenue to for funding, sales tax, hotel tax. The alternative would be ad valorem tax in other states, but not here. So, you know, since we have sales tax to work with, how are we going to improve that? Now, a lot of people look internally, say, if we're going to have Costco come here, well, we're already a 5 Walmart town. Now, if we're adding in another big box store for people to buy the same things that they could buy somewhere else, it's treating it kind of like a zero-sum game where people are earning money here, spending it here. And like Bear Grylls says, you can only drink your own pee so many times before you're poisoned. Now, if we can have, say like a Costco or something like that by I-35, so that it brings people from outside of town to our town to spend money, then we're attracting money from outside of Norman, and we're not just recycling our own pee. Now, if we, likewise, there's nothing wrong with some of our residents going to more to work, because they're going to more to work, get a paycheck that's coming, bringing it back here to spend here at home. So if we look more outside, instead of just trying to recycle our own funding, if we start looking to outside for sales tax, how can we attract people to come here? Now, we in Ward 5, we don't want Costco right next to Lake Thunderbird. Likewise, the aquatic center. Having those things by I-35 is the perfect place for them, where people can just get off of I-35, spend it, get back onto I-35, and go back to wherever they came from. Thank you.
Very good. Rarchar, next to you. And if anybody needs me to repeat the question, certainly feel free to ask. I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, would you mind, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
Do you believe that Norman is experiencing a long-term problem with sales tax revenue? If yes, how do you propose to fix the problem? If no, why not?
I think we are. In order to overcome the small town divisiveness that we don't want people to think of us first. We build everything on sales tax, Norman Forward, all the projects that we want to do, the public sales, the safety sales tax, everything is depending on sales tax. And so we have to do our best to bring in, and not just the big box stores, like I said before, but other technology stores, companies. We need to be a place where people can flock to, okay? And we need the quality of life, the programs here for the families. Now, the reason I stayed here and decided to establish family roots here is because of the quality of life that we currently have now, okay? The environment we have now, the atmosphere that we have now. And in order to grow that and to attract other families, we need to work and build that reputation that we are business friendly and we are family friendly. It's a university town. We have everything here. Being the third largest town in Oklahoma, we draw in a lot. Look at OU, look at the festivals, look at all the activities we have year to year. We are drawing those folks in, and they're staying at the hotels, and they're buying things, eating out, and that's sustainable. Maybe it does work, but if we have the long-term growth, the vision to see this, to have the businesses that will bring in the long-term sales revenue, that's what we need. I'm looking at this, and we're probably going to recycle a lot of ideas from each other here, because we're pretty much on the same page here. But it's about getting the employees here, and it's about quality of life. And sales tax revenue and use tax, I think, is very important. We got to do our best to work with the business leaders, the Chamber of Commerce, just like your office. And with that, I'll go ahead and stop now.
Thank you. Billy, next to you, same question.
Long-term sales tax problem. Due to COVID-19 shutdowns and, restoring businesses and getting their employees back to business doesn't seem like it's been a top priority. And I think it should be. You take that and add it with the list of businesses that, I understand wanted to come to Norman and ended up going elsewhere, like Costco's, Dick's, and I understand the Warren movie theater wanted to come to Norman. That would have added millions to our sales tax revenue. And with businesses selling in more, it encourages Normanites to go to more to enjoy those businesses. So, that's a draw away from Norman. It seems like we've got this business model to drive business to more for some reason. I don't know why. But we need to look into that, because that will turn into a long-term sales tax problem. Absolutely. We need to fix that, and we need to be proactive about drawing those businesses back to Norman and keeping, Normanites doing business in Norman and attracting people from more to come to Norman to do business, go to the movies and entertainment, restaurants and stuff like that. Anyway, that's how I feel about that.
Very good. Thank you. Lisa, we'll wrap up this question with your response.
Would you repeat the question?
You bet. Do you believe that Norman is experiencing a long-term problem with sales tax revenue? If yes, how do you propose to fix the problem? If no, why not?
Well, cities live and die off sales tax. And right now we need to be working with the state leaders to find better long-term solutions and recurring revenue sources for all our cities.
Very good. Thank you. Emily? You're muted, Emily.
I could have sworn I pushed the button. Fourth question, we'll start with Rarchar. Do you believe Norman should be competing more proactively with surrounding communities for new business that generate sales tax or offer quality jobs? If yes, how? If no, why not?
Of course, I think competition is pretty important, competing with Moore and Newcastle and Noble here. I think if we have that streak, the competitive streak here, it just makes all our cities better, and they work hard to bring in business here. Like I said, we should be a regional draw. Everyone's looking for the professional jobs. We have to have the competition when they look at Norman. Do they look at Moore? When they look at Moore, will they think of Norman too as well? Okay, or Newcastle. And I think there's nothing wrong with competition. And in fact, it just makes both and all the cities around us strong. So, like I said, it brings professional jobs in, and it brings the family in. And I am for, working with other cities. There's some things that Moore can do that we can't do. But, this is my hometown. And so I think competition between the cities is good. It just makes all of us better in the long run. It brings in the sales tax. That's the number one priority. It should be the number one goal is to bring in as much sales tax and use tax so we can fund all the projects we want to do, and public transportation and the police and things that are to fund, that depend on that sales tax revenue. So I'm going to push as hard and as long as I can to bring in and work with our surrounding neighbors, so we all prosper. I think if we all prosper, then we all are successful, and that's what we want. That's the Oklahoma way, and that's the American way. So yeah.
Thank you. Billy, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, I got it. Yeah, I absolutely believe we should be more proactive in attracting new businesses and competing with surrounding cities. Moreover, though, we need to set a course for business development, zoning, building codes, and our ordinances. It should be clear and easy to understand. That way businesses know what the next steps are in the process. So yeah, the mayor and the council members both should be out advocating for Norman and attracting new businesses. And like I said earlier, it shouldn't just be the big brand box stores, but these higher paying career oriented jobs. You got residential development going on around Norman too. That's part of our growth and economy. And that's one thing people think about, when they're looking at building new houses. Well, if I got to drive to Edmond, why do I want to buy a new house down here in Norman? The commute's going to be horrible. So I think if we had jobs that attracted more young professionals, it would help, all aspects of the growth of the city.
Thank you. Lisa.
Mute yourself. Yes, I do believe in that. I think we need to be more business friendly. Expanding our tax base and adding more jobs to our community is the step in the right direction.
You, Michael?
Yeah, I think we could be more proactive on attracting businesses to come here, but we could also be a little more proactive in encouraging the entrepreneurial spirit in our existing residents. Right now, we've got, for over 100 years, we've had OU, which is just a factory of intellectual capital. Why are we letting them move somewhere else to work. If we had the office space here, if we had the high quality jobs, we keep those those newly graduated students here in Norman to work, live, and thrive. But at the same time, we can be more proactive by maybe advertising a little bit more the office spaces that we have here to other cities. Maybe run some ads or commercials or something to let people know that we exist and that we have space available for anybody and everybody who wants to move here and live here.
So much.
We've rotated back around. So Billy, we're going to start with you again for this next question. Studies have shown Norman has the highest cumulative development cost, connection fees, and most restrictive building ordinances in the region. How do you propose to rectify this?
Well, though, we do need to govern the development of Norman. But we also need to simplify the process to make it easier for businesses to come to Norman. And we need to be careful not to price ourselves out of future growth. So, yeah, we need to streamline the process and simplify the process. We need to, analyze our commercial and residential needs and make sure that, the development is, evenly fostered throughout Norman at a sustainable rate.
Very good. Thank you. Lisa, same question to you about development cost, connection fees, and restrictive building ordinances.
I've been looking at permits and costs that new businesses would incur. Well, fees are just a way for a municipality to collect funds to run the city, but we should not be bankrupting our small business owners in the process. I have a good friend, Andy, and he owns Rural Bavaria and does boot camp in Norman. And during this pandemic, he has lost thousands of dollars. And it'll take several years for Andy to rebuild the business as it was before the pandemic. And multiple other small businesses are in the same boat or have closed their doors for good. Right now, I believe that is where our focus needs to be, is rebuilding those businesses and helping those businesses get back where they need to be get back on their feet.
Thank you. Michael, to you next.
Could you repeat the question?
Certainly, be happy to. Studies have shown Norman has the highest cumulative development cost, connection fees, and most restrictive building ordinances in the region. How do you propose to rectify this?
First, does it need rectification? Is this a problem that needs to be addressed? Norman doesn't want to be a cheap date. We don't want to just encourage anybody and everybody and their dog to come here and set up some kind of business that's going to, like I said earlier, outpace the population growth of the city. Now, there is a difference between having a high sticker price and having a burdensome process. If we have a burdensome process, that's going to give people a bad taste in their mouth, businesses and the other businesses that they're associated with aren't going to want to come here because they're going to have a bad taste in their mouth from trying. We should streamline the process, but we should keep the sticker price the same so that, to reflect the moderation that we want to implement with the growth of the city's economic sector.
Very good. Rarchar, we'll end this round of questioning with you. Would you like me to repeat the question?
Yes, please.
Okay. Studies have shown Norman has the highest cumulative development cost, connection fees, and most restrictive building ordinances in the region. How do you propose to rectify this?
I think there should be a common sense approach to the enforcement. And because I talk to a lot of business owners here in Ward 5 who own businesses in Norman, who want to expand their business. And, they all have different stories. They're similar. It's the enforcement. It's not always equal all the time. The permitting process can be streamlined. And, if anything is a barrier, the ordinances that we're looking at that are burdensome to small business owners or to people wanting to move to Norman here, I think we owe it to the city and to the citizens to look at the ordinances to see what can be modified if anything at all. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it should be the first place. We should start and say, you know, are these ordinances too cumbersome? You know, are the complaints the same? We want to make this place a #1 draw. We want the reputation that Norman is open for business. And I want all businesses of all types to come. I'm a free capitalist market person, you know, so that means the more people that come here, the more small businesses that open up. I think it's good for the economy. It's good for Ward 5. It's good for all of Norman to have as many of those businesses come here. I don't think we should, you know, pick and choose, you know, if they want to locate here, they're here because Norman is the first destination on their mind. They look at the quality of life. Is it going to be good for my family? Can we grow here over time? So these are the things, you know, that are barriers too as well that we need to consider. So, you know, it all depends. So, you know, you guys on the chamber side here, you represent the interests of the small business here. And, you know, if you can work with us and you can show us, you know, what these guys are wanting to look at and want to change, I think the city might be open to looking at the ordinances and modifying it.
Thank you.
All right, next question. We'll start with Lisa. The city of Norman is facing significant budget shortfalls in future fiscal years. Do you have any recommendations or opinions to help prevent the potential budgetary crisis for the city?
Creating and making a balanced budget is our main responsibility as council members. With the current ongoing pandemic and budget issues facing municipalities across the country, with additional costs for safety measures, personnel overtime, and small business sales tax loss, we as a council need to look into the city budget very carefully and find ways we can streamline these things that will keep many services, but also find ways to save the taxpayers' money during these hard times.
Thank you. Michael, same question. Would you like me to repeat?
Yes, please.
Okay. The city of Norman is facing significant budget shortfalls in the future fiscal years. Do you have any recommendations or opinions to help prevent the potential budgetary crisis for the city?
Auditing and transparency. I think with those two, have a dedicated auditor to audit the books, the needs that the different departments have to ensure that we're not paying $1,000 for a pen, and then transparency so that the people can see the budget as it's being created and can voice an opinion as we're allocating funding to different resources or to different sections.
Rarchar, I believe you're next. Would you like me to repeat?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
The city of Norman is facing significant budget shortfalls in the future fiscal years. Do you have any recommendations or opinions to help prevent the potential budgetary crisis for the city?
You know, so I've dealt with budgets in the military, you know, $1 million plus budgets, and it always comes down to, you know, what are we spending our money on and how much are we going to ask for next year? And so I don't think we have a budget shortfall. I think we have a revenue problem. And, you know, as I've already said before, you know, to fix the budget problem, you know, maybe we should do an audit. I don't know how feasible that would be, but I do agree there should be some transparency and accountability and how the budget is constructed. But with all budgets, they're all the same. Okay, we need more money. It's always been the case. You know, we always ask for more money based on past cost and projected expenditures. And again, if we bring in the businesses and make this a destination place, we can increase the sales tax revenue, and if we can look at things to be cuts that are smart, that everyone can agree on, then I'm for that too as well. So the more dollars that are spent here in Norman, away from more, and I know I mentioned this before about the competitive, that's part of it. You know, the more dollars spent here in Norman is good for all of us here, because that will help with the budget. And you know, like we do here at the house and probably at your home too, we have to learn to live within our budgets. And if we want to fund the most important parts of the quality of life programs and the public transportation and things that really increase the value and the quality of life to bring people and families and businesses to Norman here, you know, we should look at the costs and and look at the budget too, and it should be available for everyone to see. Within our needs, and I think that's a good place to start.
Billy, would you like me to repeat?
Yes, please.
Okay. The city of Norman is facing significant budget shortfalls in the future fiscal years. Do you have any recommendations or opinions to help prevent the potential budgetary crisis for the city?
Well, I've got decades of experience overseeing, multi-million-dollar construction budgets, and I'm a treasurer for a nonprofit church, so you live and breathe budgets, and when things, you start talking about budget shortfalls and budget gaps and stuff like that. Sometimes you just got to step back and do a full audit of everything. All your general funds, your designated funds, and see exactly where that money's going. Is it irresponsible spending, or is it a funding issue? And, sometimes it's just, going over and finding line items that could be put off to a later date. Maybe it's, cutting spending and putting things on hold until a later date when more funding is available for it. Plus the benefit, there's a big distrust with the public right now when it comes to the city's finances. And I think a good thorough audit and a transparent report would go a long ways in helping restore some of that trust. So I think, you get multiple benefits out of doing something like that. But yeah, sometimes you just gotta look at the budget and find out what's necessary and what's not. And if it's a funding problem, then we need to sit down and sharpen our pencils and figure out what we're going to do about creating new funding.
Thank you.
Okay, that got everybody. Okay, so we're back to Michael. We're going to start this round of questioning. Michael, you get to respond first. If elected, how will you expedite and fully fund the remaining Norman Forward projects, ensuring the will of the voters are delivered?
Well, if we had to have another election or another vote on bonds for it, then so be it. There were a number of things wrong with the last four propositions back in August that I think that it could have been resolved. As they were proposed, I don't think that they were fully fleshed out. I think there's a lot of combining different projects into one with the different propositions. I think the city kind of shot itself in the foot in that regard, and so I think having a more thought out plan with how they're going to roll out the propositions, having them for Norman Forward projects, having them more directly related to the propositions and isolated would be step one to getting those streamlined. Otherwise, we're going to be in the same boat that we are now, trying to scrounge up whatever we can from the general funds to make up for gaps in the funding for projects that were voted for in 2008.
Thank you. Rarchar, to you, Norman Forward, how do we expedite and fully fund those projects?
My understanding of how Norman Forward and the project were put together was that they already started as deficits, and they were hoping for more funding as the years go by to bring the projects to fruition. So, I do agree with Michael in an aspect that the last initiative failed for various reasons here. And I think they need to go back to the board or look at the funding issue. How do we increase the sales tax revenue to fund these projects here? Do we do the ad valorem taxes? Do we do bonds? The quality of life for Norman is important, and I think we owe it all to all the residents of Norman to collectively look together and work together to find solutions to funding and get these things passed to the voters here. That starts with the transparency and the accountability on city council, and the trust the voters are looking for. Looking at some unofficial polls, maybe they didn't trust the council to spend the money wisely. I'm not sure if that's a factor or not. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that, we have to have that accountability and the transparency so the voters can look and say, this is a good idea. We all looked at this. It was fully vetted by the council, and, the numbers make sense, and let's go ahead and pass it. I believe in strongly the quality of life. So I will work with the other councils to make sure that the funding is approved. And if it needs to be relooked at, then I will propose that. I think it's important. It's important for the growth of our city.
Very good, thank you. Billy, to you about Norman Forward, how to make sure we get these projects done quickly and fully funded.
I don't know the current status of all the projects. I understood, or I believe some of them already completed. So I'm not really sure what's left of the project list to get taken care of. But in any fashion, you want to look at the budgets. How were these things originally funded? And is that or the project funding is that inhibited by what's happened in 2020? If so, then certain aspects of it, we might need to maybe delay the projects or put them off. I think the people are certainly aware of 2020 and the effect that it's going to have on the income for the city. And, I think they would understand if we, had to postpone certain aspects of some of these projects until future funding was available. I don't think I would immediately want to go to the people and go, hey, we got another proposition, we need more money. I don't think that's going to go over too well with the voters. So 2020 was a very unique and interesting year that created a lot of unique problems. So I think it's understandable that unique solutions might be in order to correct them. So.
Thank you. Lisa, to you about Norman Forward, how to expedite the remaining projects and fully fund them. You're muted.
Sorry about that. We're obligated by state law to implement the will of the voters. In January of 2016, the citizens of Norman passed Norman Forward, which is a temporary 0.5% sales tax that is to be put toward various city projects. I will do my duty to make sure those are fulfilled and the promises will always be kept to our voters.
Very good, thank you. Emily?
All right, press the button this time, we're good. Okay, Rarchar, we'll start with you. As a young professional here in Norman, it's important for quality of life in our town to be continually improved. A few years ago, we passed Norman Forward, which was a great step towards improving quality of life, but those projects are potentially underfunded for what the public wants to see. What quality of life initiatives would you propose to keep us on the leading edge in the region and to make sure we attract and retain young professionals?
I think it starts with law enforcement. We have to ensure that people are confident that public safety is the number one priority for their family's well-being. That's when I look at Norman and look at all the other towns, I couldn't find a better police department than what we have here now in Norman. And so that's paramount. It starts with law enforcement here. Like I said earlier, when we're looking at establishing family roots, I look at what does Norman have to offer that Edmond doesn't or Oklahoma City doesn't. And we already have a pretty good quality of life. I mean, look at all the activities we have here, all the programs we have running here. And, I have two daughters. One turns 32 this month and one turned 11 a couple months ago here. And my oldest one, she was pretty envious of me growing up where I grew up in Europe, because we had so many things that we could do and travel from country to country and stay at youth hospitals. Now we bring that back here. We have the festivals, we have the fairs. these are all what attracts people and families to Norman. And we just have to do our best, like I said, to make this the #1 destination for families, okay? And quality of life is important for any young family. So look at my daughter, and she's 32 this month. You know, she looked at a lot of things here when she decided to stay where she's at. And right now, Norman is perfect for her and her family. It could be better, you know, what they're looking for. And I kind of look back at my military career and how we groom people and how we mentor people to get onto the next level here. And so that should all be parts of what draws people here, is that we have a business environment. We have an environment where you can come here as a young family here, and we have enough people to help you, you know, to show you and to help you grow. And that's my time. You know, you don't have enough time to get my thoughts up, but that's my thought on quality of life here in Norman.
Billy, would you like me to repeat the question?
Yes, please.
Okay. As a young professional here in Norman, it's important for quality of life in our town to be continually improved. A few years ago, we passed Norman Forward, which was a great step towards improving quality of life. But those projects are potentially underfunded for what the public wants to see. What quality of life initiatives would you propose to keep us on the leading edge in the region and to make sure we attract and retain young professionals?
Well, first of all, those projects, you know, we need to make sure that we follow through with them and complete that. And then, you know, yeah, it all starts with public safety. We want to make sure we got safe streets. A lot of young professionals, you know, they like to jog. They like to they're into cycling, you know, dog parks and stuff like that. You know, gyms and stuff. So make sure that we have, you know, those type of businesses that support their interest and the infrastructure to facilitate, you know, their activities. I think that's important qualities. And you know, events, you know, regular events that are of interest to the younger generation and young professional era. Yeah, I think that's important. We should be focusing on that. Yeah.
Thank you. Lisa, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, that's okay. You know, Norman's a very diverse community with many young professionals moving here from all over the country. They come to OU, they stay here for what they see. I've been visiting with a lot of young professionals in Ward 5, learning what will keep them here. We need to listen to these young people. We need to hear their ideas. They're the future and they deserve a seat at this table. They're the future leaders in Norman and their voice really must be heard.
Yeah. Michael, would you like me to repeat the question?
I don't know, thanks. So I think anything that we can do to encourage people to move here, improving the quality of life is, it's one of those, you know, it's a topping on the sundae that encourages people to move here, that chooses to have them choose here over any other place. There's, you know, hundreds of cities across the country that have tons of, well, probably thousands of cities that have tons of jobs, tons of housing, and they got municipal water and all the other, you know, bells and whistles. But, you know, the Jazz in June, they don't all have that. The Norman Music Festival, you know, those are things that just add that extra thing that makes this town special. Some of the Norman Forward projects, the aquatic center is one of the things that would attract people from all over the country. Say you got some budding Olympian from, you know, lives in Tulsa, their family's going to move here to make use of the Olympic-sized swimming pool to practice. All the parks, it's all that extra something that makes us special. It's going to attract people to move here, stay here, and it's going to retain some of the intellectual capital that's coming out of OU.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so I think we're back to Billy for this question, I believe. If elected, how will you encourage partnerships with other community organizations between the city and other community organizations?
Well, certainly, I think it would be, communication. Try to get with the different groups and meet with them regularly. Um, I know it doesn't matter what our field of expertise are. Mine, is heavily construction related. I know all about building the infrastructure and managing the finances for that type of stuff. But there are other elements, and it doesn't matter, what area you come from. You're not an expert in all aspects of the city business. So I think it's important to keep communications over and meet regularly, and gain insight from each other, and figure out what each other's needs are. Because at the end of the day, we are in this together, and we need to be able to work together.
Thank you. Lisa, to you about partnerships between the city and other community organizations. And you're muted.
Shame on me. Sorry. I'm looking forward to working with county, state, and business leaders. My husband, Paul, has served the citizens of Ward 5 for 38 years, making sure that their roads are cleared, mowed, maintained, and much more. And I'm very excited that our campaign has been endorsed by our county sheriff and District 2 commissioner. I would use these connections and relationships to make sure we maintain a good working relationship with our county and local business leaders.
Very good, thank you. Michael, to you about partnerships between the city and other community organizations.
I think it'd be a good thing to have the city reach out to some of the organizations, be it the Rotary Club, 4-H Club, any of those to help promote their activities. There's a lot of these clubs that have been around for decades that I never knew existed, and I've lived here my entire life. In fact, I'm almost embarrassed to say that I didn't know what the Chamber of Commerce was until a couple of years ago. And maybe I would have if I had been more involved with the Rotary Club, which the Rotary Club, I didn't know what that was until about a year ago. The city can definitely do something to help that situation, because I'm probably not the only person that grew up here that missed out on these opportunities and these terrific clubs and organizations that exist.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Rarchar, wrapping up this question with you. If elected, how will you encourage partnerships with other community organizations between them and the city? And you're muted. Make sure you're unmuted.
No. Hit the wrong button. You know what? I think we need to stop being angry at each other. It seems like we can't talk to each other. We can't come together without being mad about something that you said or you did. I'm all about unity. I'm all about partnerships. I've done it my entire life, and I think we should all go and talk to other agencies and community groups. I mean, I do it all the time when I work with my homeless veterans. I work with the community. I work with the VA. I see what we can do to get them off the streets, to get them into treatment, to get them into housing here. And so, I bring all that experience here, but I think to get across the aisle and to work and shake hands with somebody else here, I think we need to bring it down a notch. I think that's the barrier that we're looking for to eliminate is to bring the civility back, decorum back, and just what made Norman such a great place and still a great place. Bring back the civility. So I'm for the council working across the aisle. Working to build these groups and relationships with other agencies here, and I've done it my entire life, and I'll continue to do it as your city council person here. So that's what I would do. Just take my experience and talk to people here, and treat each other with respect. And I like to bring the positivity back to the city council and to show that we can all work together here. And if the city sees that, if our citizens observe that at our meetings here. That brings confidence that what we bring forward for votes, that we have their best interest at heart, because we're not working in the vacuum. You know, we're working for the best of Norman. So that's my take on it.
Thank you.
All right, last question. Woohoo! We'll start with Lisa. What are your thoughts on the current caustic dialogue in our community, particularly on social media? And how will you listen and lead on this issue?
You know, social media has become such a toxic place. It's made it easy to be a keyboard bully and hide behind a screen. This has caused the city that I love to be extremely divided and will only continue to worsen if we let individuals and groups control the narrative by using social media as their bully pulpit. The beauty of our country is that we all have varying views and opinions, and we should be able to voice them without the fear of being attacked by local special interest groups that only deepen the divide of our city. My hope is that the municipal government in Norman can help heal this divide and work in unison for the betterment of Norman.
Thank you. Michael, you're up next. Would you like me to repeat the question?
Yes, please.
All right. What are your thoughts on the current caustic dialogue in our community, particularly on social media? And how will you listen and lead on this issue?
I hate social media. I hate everything about social media, but except for the one fact that it's a mechanism to reach out and to communicate with the people in the ward. When I was first appointed to the seat, social media was the first weapon used by some organizations in the city. And, you know, I put my hat in the ring thinking I had pretty thick skin. But it hurts when you have organizations trying to turn an entire town against you, you know, your hometown. No matter where I go, I was born at Norman Regional. I plan to die on Highway 9 like all the other Normanites in this town. And yeah, so I don't know how to handle social media other than for myself in moderation. The caustic environment, I don't know how to limit that. But it's an ongoing evolution for myself to learn how to make use of it to maintain the channels of communication between the people that live in the ward and myself, while also trying to ignore all the vitriol and the hate that permeates through it.
Thank you. Rarchar, would you like me to repeat the question?
Yes, please.
What are your thoughts on current caustic dialogue in our community, particularly on social media? And how will you listen and lead on this issue?
Have you seen my Facebook page? I'm the poster child for all the caustic and vitriol that's been thrown at me since I announced I was running for office. I'm with the rest of the guys here. I mean, I try to stay off social media as much as I can because for me, it's a tool. I use it as a tool to communicate with people. But my gosh, it's gotten so bad that, you know, I feel how, you know, Mr. Nash feels when the entire town, it feels like they're turned against you for something you said. And, you know, how do you bring it down? I mean, that's the number one question because, you know, like any agency, any military group or any organization, you know, we're a microcosm of what America looks like, you know, and the temperatures run so hot sometimes and the politics are just, you know, black and white. And, you know, I think everyone needs to just chill out and stop being mad and recognize that we're all friends and family here in Norman, you know, just because we chose one president over another, or we view something that you don't like, you know, that's our right as Americans. You know, it's enshrined in our Constitution, freedom of speech, freedom of association, and everyone here can probably agree that, you know, that we can all support these ideals. I mean, that's what makes this town so special for me. But it starts with the individual here. We've got to dial it back and realize that you can't be mad at your friends and family and neighbors for how they voted or who they support or how they live their life. It's just ridiculous. That's how I live my life. I take social media in moderation, and that's the best I can do. And I'll use it as a tool to communicate, with my constituents. And other than that, I hope people can open their hearts, because if they can treat someone that way, they can treat everybody that way too. And I don't like bullying, so let's change our hearts. Let's be positive. Let's work for the better of Norman. That's one way to work past it. And there's my time again.
Billy, would you like me to repeat the question?
Yes, please.
All right. What are your thoughts on the current caustic dialogue in our community, particularly on social media? And how will you listen and lead on this issue?
Well, first of all, if you're going to be in politics and on social media, you better have some pretty thick skin. There's a lot of hateful dialogue coming from both sides. There's probably nearly a dozen Norman groups, and they all got hateful dialogue on them. None of them's any better than the rest of them. And I think it's, you got to start encouraging people to withdraw from that. You got to quit grouping up with people that's calling the other side names, that's doing nothing but, perpetuating the divide of the residents. It's not us versus them. It's we, the people. And that's what we need to get back into. We are in this together, and we do need to work together. The groups that are calling each other names, cut them off. Just remove yourself from those groups, start another group. When elected, I'm going to, expand my social media presence, and I hope to be influence of facts. Everybody's going to have opinions, but what we see less of, we see people spouting opinions and calling names, but they're not producing any facts. And I think when you get out there and you start actually doing research, those facts do start showing up, and then you realize that nobody's being completely honest with you. Everybody's manipulating you to get your vote right now. So I think that's important. You need to have some responsibility in producing the facts and help curve the opinions of people who's trying to discourage other people. So I hope I'm able to do that. I think that's a good start. And I see my red flag. I'll stop.
Did everybody get a chance to answer that question? Good. Okay, very good. So we're to the end now, and we made it to our closing statements. 60 seconds for a closing statement, and we started at the top of the alphabet, so we're going to start at the bottom of the alphabet and work our way back up. So Rarchar, we're going to start with you. 60 seconds for your closing comment.
I want to thank the Norman Chamber and Norman Next for this opportunity for us to get together and share our thoughts on these questions here. I'd like to thank Michael, Lisa, and Billy for being here tonight too as well. I'm about unity. I want Norman to be the first choice for people in small business. I'm not a politician. I just I sat back for a while, and I decided last fall to participate in city government, and I bring a lot of experience, life experience. I've done so much in my life, work across agencies, federal agencies, and my main business was to complete the mission, and my mission is to have and to create a reputation for Norman. All right. To say, hey, we want to go to Norman. It's best for our family, and it's best for our business. That's something we can do, and that's something I believe. And I'll work hard for Ward 5, and I'll work hard for Norman to achieve these goals. I think I owe it, and we owe it to the citizens to be the best we can. And there you go. Thanks.
Thank you. Michael, to you, 60 seconds for your closing statement.
Well, you know, I do appreciate the chamber for hosting this. And there's a lot of questions that pertain to Norman at large, and that's fine. Of course, my focus is still going to be on the ward. Economic growth and development are not wholly disconnected from the people of the ward. I mean, there's a lot of overlap between the two, but the people still come first. You know, like I said before, I was born here. My wife was born here. Parents are from here. Grandparents are from here. No matter what we do, where we go, this is our hometown. Right now, I think Norman needs somebody, Ward 5 in particular, that just has Ward 5's interests at heart and nothing else. It doesn't have any other interest groups behind them, doesn't have any, you know, they need somebody they can rely on to be fully committed, invested in the community. And that's why I hope that when people get out and vote on February 9th, that they'll vote for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Lisa, 60 seconds for your closing statement.
Well, first of all, I want to thank Scott and Emily and the opportunity to speak to the chamber and the Norman citizens. And I want to say to each of the other candidates and to all, for everybody, there are 17 candidates. And if you want to make a change, you step up and you step out and you be the change. I'm running to be the next councilwoman for Ward 5. Our community deserves someone who will listen. Listening is the most important qualification of a council member. It's our job to carry out the will of the people. When I'm elected, I will be an independent voice that is not tied to partisan groups or developers. I will work for you, the citizens of Norman. It is more important than ever that we unite our community and we learn from the past. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Billy, 60 seconds for your closing statement.
Well, I'll start off by thanking you guys for hosting us. And I'd like to thank Lisa, Rarchar, and Michael for being a part of it as well. I think this is the first opportunity we've had to all be together in one forum. So, but yeah, Ward 5 is a unique and diverse area. We've got you know, a diverse group of people out here. You know, from you know, ranchers to young professionals and commuters. You know, so I think we need a representative that you know, knows that and understands that and is able to and willing to communicate directly with the people. I myself, I am not affiliated with any other civic groups or any of the political groups around. I'm not involved in that, and I'm not influenced by them. However, we do need to communicate with them. My main loyalty is to the residents of Ward 5. And I hope that you can support me on February 9th. My name's Billy Davidson, City Council. Vote for me.
Thank you very much. As we wrap things up, why don't we go around the Zoom room here, and if you don't mind sharing with everybody that's watching, what's the best way for them to reach out to you if they have a question, comment, they want to provide some support and encouragement? What would be the best way for them to contact you? Billy, let's start with you.
Well, I have a Facebook page. You can reach me on www.facebook.com/Billy Davidson Ward 5, or you can email me directly at billydavidsonward5@gmail.com.
Very good. Lisa?
You can call me at 405-740-8989. You can text me there. My website is lisafornorman.com. Facebook is Lisa for Norman. And email address is info@lisafornorman.com.
Perfect. Thank you. Michael?
Well, I've got some Facebook pages that as of recently been sort of the most direct way of getting a hold of me and the most expedient method. As you can also email me at ward5 at normanok.gov. Crap, I should have that memorized, but the city of Norman. You could also reach me by cell phone. Since I love you guys, I'll go ahead and my personal phone number, 405-589-6425. I screen my calls, so you might have to leave a message. Text messages work even better. But that's about it.
Very good. Rarchar, how can we reach you if we have questions or comments?
The fastest way to reach me is through my cell. You can text me or call me at 405-761-4401. The second best way is rarcharfornorman.com, and Facebook. Like I said, I'm hardly ever on it, so I do check it a couple of times a day. But if you want a direct, an immediate response, semi-fast response, texting is the best way to get a hold of me. I do answer all my calls and I do respond to all my text messages. Like I said, and then rarcharfornorman.com, you can go ahead and fill out a contact form, and if you want my email address, it's long, but I'll give it to you anyways. It's rarchar.tortorello@gmail.com, rarchar.tortorello@gmail.com, but it's probably faster if you just call me.
Okay, very good. Well, on behalf of Emily and I want to say thank you to all four of you. As a Ward 5 resident, I'm proud that all four of you are running, and that we've been able to have a civil discussion about the issues this evening, and you have led by example, and I greatly appreciate that as a future constituent of one of you, and so that means a lot. I would just once again remind everybody, the election is February the 9th. Early voting is February the 4th and the 5th from 8 to 6 p.m. That will be available to you at the county fairgrounds or at the county election board. I'm not exactly sure where they're having that these days, but it'll be up on the county election board, county fairgrounds property. And then also, if you are so inclined, certainly take advantage of absentee voting. The deadline to request that ballot is February the 2nd by 5 o'clock. Again, I'd like to rewatch this or share it with your friends or other Ward 5 residents who weren't able to be here. You can go to Norman Next, their Facebook page, the Chamber's Facebook page, or our YouTube channel. The video after this evening will be there for your viewing pleasure. Again, thank you all so much for tuning in tonight and being part of the process. I encourage each and every one of you to get out and vote on February the 9th. Thanks so much to the candidates and for everybody that tuned in. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.